geography, and in today's lesson, we're going to be looking at a case study on river processes. So, on this aspect of the syllabus, you're expected to know the opportunities presented by a river or rivers, the associated hazards, and the management. So, we are going to be looking at the Ganges. So, we are going to be looking at the river Ganges in Bangladesh, and we are going to be looking at the opportunities first presented by the river. So, looking at this map, you find out that under the location here, we have Bangladesh here. I'm bringing it here to see how the drainage of Bangladesh is. Remember, a drainage basin is an area that is drained by a river and its tributaries. And there are three major rivers that drain the this whole area called Bangladesh. We have the river Meghna, we have the Putra, and river Ganges. So at the point where these two rivers meet here is called a confluence, and smaller river channel joining a larger one. It's a tributary. Then here you find out that the river enters into flows into the Bay of Bengal in using a different distributaries. So you can see a delta is somewhere here. Now, having this knowledge, you find out that Bangladesh, it's close to Nepal, Bhutan, Pakistan, Myanmar, and so it share boundaries with these major areas. So quickly with India and also. So let's just go through this content and see how the opportunities derived by the people of Bangladesh from River Ganges. So opportunities at the River Ganges include one, fertile land or soil. So it is suitable for agricultural process such as rice and jute that are so they are the fourth largest product in Bangladesh as an economy. So it provides fertile alluvium soil, which is good for rice cultivation along the floodplains. And water supply, so it provide water, so enough for a population of approximately 1,101 people per kilometer square. It's also a major source of fishing, so fish supply. So food can feed the dense population and provide jobs for the locals. Then we have flatlands along the floodplains is also suitable for building and construction purpose. Then the river itself is good for transport using boats. So if you ask the opportunity of a river that you've studied, Bangladesh is one. It has a fertile soil, it has good water supply, fish supply, flatland for transport, and for building and flatlands also. The water is also good for a transport system. Now, the major hazards that are found around this river in Bangladesh is flooding. Flooding is a major hazard. And this flooding has both physical causes and human causes. So, looking at the physical cause first, found that most of the country consists of a huge floodplains and deltas. From the map, we were able to look at it. You see, I stated earlier that there is a delta here, and also high amount of smaller rivers that flows into the Bay of Bengal, and also a large floodplain. So it will be very easy for the river to overflow its bank, and as a result leading to flooding within those areas. Now, snow melt from the Himalayas takes place in late spring and summer, and one of the major impact of a snow melt is that snow melt will increase the sea level rise, and once there is an increase in sea level rise, there is high possibility that the river will overflow its bank and thereby leading to flooding along the floodplains and surrounding environment. Now, 70% of the total area is less than 1 meters above sea level. So it's if it's less than 1 meters above sea level, it will be very easy for the river to overflow its bank, except if okay, except there should be a natural levees. Oh no, not really natural, an artificial or human-made levees to raise the banks. Now, 10% of the land area is made up of lakes and rivers. So, high distribution of lakes and rivers. Bangladesh experienced heavy monsoon rain, uh, especially over the highlands. So, if you experience heavy rain, torrential rainfall can also be a monsoon rainfall can also be a cause. Then tropical storms bring heavy rains and coastal flooding also. The main cause was the above average and long period of heavy rain, which caused all three rivers to have their peak flow at the same time. Remember, there are three rivers that form the major drainage basin of Bangladesh. We have Ganges, Brahmaputra, and Brahmaputra, and River Megan. So all of them reach their peak at the same time. So as a result, it's easily overflow its bank. Now in the spring, melting melting snow from the Himalayas further increase the flood risks as torrents of meltwater enter the river and at their sources. So you find out that the Himalaya is also a major source of these rivers. So once there is a snow melt, then there will be increased flow uh, along that plain. And coupled with the fact that it's a highland, then you are expecting to have a vertical flow along a steep slope, which increases the force of movement. Then we now have human causes, which has to do with deforestation in Nepal and the Himalayas increases runoff and after deposition and the floodplain after deposition on the floodplain downstream. Increase in population has led to urbanization and of the floodplain, which has increased magnitude and frequency of flood. Global warming is blamed for the sea level rise, increased snow melt, and increased rainfall in the region. So, this global warming will now lead to the melting of ice caps around, where did I put that? Himalayas. Now, the building of dams in India has increased the problem of sedimentation in Bangladesh. So, poorly maintained embankment or levees leak and collapse in times of high discharge. So, this also just helped to describe the terrain of Bangladesh and also how it affects the major source and cause of flooding. So, you find out that first we have the monsoon climate brings heavy rainfall. Now, it is drained by three major rivers, but in this case here, I think we just have Ganges and Brahmaputra, and we have the Himalayas also, and so 80, let me just follow the numbers through. Find out that second, spring snow melt along also increase the river discharge. Deforestation in headwater areas due to increasing population in Nepal and Tibet. Trees cleared for fuel and grazing land. This lead to less evapotranspiration, more runoff, and faster soil erosion due to lack of interception of the rainfall caused by presence of trees. And um, so for river silt up, that means most of the soil particles washed downstream will be silted, will be deposited along the river channel, so which will now lead to rise in the seabed. And once there's rise in seabed of the river, then the river, it will be very easy for it to overflow its bank and lead to high rate of um, flooding. So on five here, 80% of Bangladesh lies on a huge floodplain. So if this is the watershed, which is an area that separates two drainage basins. So if this is the landmark, so it forms the watershed of Bangladesh. You find out that the whole of Bangladesh falls along a floodplain. Also have a confluence here. So and also a delta is somewhere here. All these have led to high amount of flooding within this area. So much of the Ganges has been diverted for irrigation purpose. This removes some of the silt and prevent the floodplain further downstream from being built up. And there is also frequent cyclones which hit the border of Bangladesh. So how has this hazard been managed? Um, First, we have DECA integrated flood protection project that help with flood protection works and drainage basin improvements. Then we have urban environment improvement and capacity building with a cost of approximately $115.9 million, and $15 million was founded by Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, that's OPEC. Now, rescue boats located at flood points and near flood shelters. These are some of the management strategies that have been put in place. So, thank you so much for listening, and always remember to subscribe in order to get updates of our videos as we upload them on a consistent basis.